And as always, let's finish with sterling. Okay, so what have we got here? Cable, euro sterling, pound Aussie, pound Canadian dollar, FTSE, pound Kiwi, pound Swiss, pound yen. All right, so um, had a busy morning. Okay, trading intraday VTP Stage 3 plans. Okay, on the Arse trading project there. Okay, so we had ended up having 5 sterling trades. Okay, um, one loss, 4 winners. The loss was on pound Canadian dollar. So why don't we start there because I literally got nicked out by the tip before we dropped. But there you go. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Let's have a look at pound Canadian dollar. See how it's pound Canadian dollar on the weekly chart. It's ground its way. It's not been the nicest of trends, but it's just ground its way up. But this is, that's 50 map. All right, that is a 50 period moving average bounce there, and you've got basically those pin bars there off the 50 period moving average. Yeah, as a swing trader, that's what's going on. The daily doesn't look terribly pretty, does it? I mean, it just doesn't, that doesn't look terribly exciting. That just looks like, well, hang on a minute. We are just in a box between 185 and let's call it 183. You're in a 200 point box for the vast majority of the last sort of 3-4 weeks. That's what we've gone on now. So let's see what we get tomorrow. So yeah, this morning I kind of shored into. I got literally nicked out before it dropped, and then we can see it's ground its way up there. Okay, for the rest of the session there. Pounding as CAD, pounding as Aussie. All right, pounding as what I'm interested in pounding as Aussie is that big bullish key reversal, having dropped really nicely from here. Okay, and then we've just based here at 2 basically. Let's just draw that in. Okay, it's because I've got so many different bloody charting packages and stuff and whatever that sometimes my charts aren't as always up to date here. But we came down to 2. We've printed that big bullish key reversal, haven't we? Next one is a bullish inside bar pin bar. We've worked away and we've just basically grinding our way up there, aren't we, from that and stuff. And so if you look at that, from where we were, it's just worked its way, it's ground its way up. Not pretty, okay, on a 4 hour chart, but there's bits of action to be had there. But a little bit of a block. Is it going to break out of this? Okay, with that Kiwi dollar, and remember, the interesting thing is that Kiwi dollar's been at the bottom of the pile. Sterling was at the top, so we have had a drift higher, but once again, the last few weeks have been a bit of a block, haven't they? It's holding above the 50, it's holding above the 20. So that's just showing that kind of Kiwi weakness. And I think we might have, I think we've got Kiwis are they're cutting interest rates, aren't they? That's tomorrow morning. Okay, so tomorrow morning. So watch to see how that particularly plays out. Pound against Swiss franc, we looked at. Pound against Japanese yen. All right, that is just yen weakness there, isn't it? Okay, that's just continuing to work its way up there. Up to these highs from 24, and finish with cable. Cable has just worked its way lower. I wonder now if we are in, just a little bit of a. I mean, this isn't the best drawing, but hopefully you get the idea of it's just a coil that's happening in front of A, you've got the budget, B, you've got US Thanksgiving, okay, and data as well, and whether we're doing that and stuff and what have you. So, we're just coiling our way there, okay. So just working its way. As for euro sterling, the daily, we were pushing higher. You kind of, I would look at this as, you've kind of got 1, 2, 3 push to a high, which was also that kind of big pin bar there, and then we've kind of tried to push up, but we couldn't make it another high, and we rolled our way over, and we're working. And I wonder whether we drift our way down to the 50. That's what I'd be probably looking at in terms of where's the flow likely to go. I mean, it's not terribly the prettiest chart pattern price action, is it? It's not. It's just grinding, and I think that's you've got euro and sterling, all right. They're basically mirror on the wall, which is the least shit one of us all right. That's what happens when we get there. So you just basically watch your powder dry and see whether we basically get it. As I said, do we get maybe a drift down to that 50 on the euro side? Maybe that's what we'll see. It'd be interesting if you look at where we've looked at, if you look at that, you might say, well, actually, that is sterling strength. That is sterling strength. That would be sterling strength. That would be sterling strength. That is sterling strength. That is sterling strength. That is sterling strength. You might say, well, hang on a minute. Maybe tomorrow's budget isn't as bad as everybody expected. And, these big boys are starting to position themselves because they think there might be a bit of a relief rally, as in just basically they've waited too long for it. It's, everyone's a bit fed up, but it's not as bad. It's bad, but it's not as bad as everyone's been led to believe. And they're hoping they might get a relief rally. And let's see how that plays out, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? Let's see what the scores and the doors there. Right, we'll have the rest of the week to watch that. All right, so there we go. Let's draw it to a close there. I hope you found that useful. I hope that's given you a little bit of help and a little bit of insight. It's going to be an interesting couple of days, so make sure, as always, that you're on top of the news, you're on top of the order flow, and you're managing risk. And have a fabulous trading week, and I'll speak to you soon. Many thanks, everybody. Cheers.